Good morning and thank you for joining us on today's Sunrise. I am Alero Edu.
I'm Ayo Makinde. Good morning and welcome. Hope you have your cup of cocoa with you this morning.
Oh, your bowl of
Cocoa.
Well, all week it was NSAS, NSAS, NSAS. Well, not NSAS as such, NSAS report.
Reactions to the report.
In which reactions to the leaked. We haven't seen the report yet, so I wonder why people are talking so much.
I stand corrected as well because actually, I think by law, the report is not supposed to be a public document by law. The public document should be the white paper.
Which comes out on Monday?
Which is supposed to come out on the 29th.
Okay.
Is that a Monday?
Yes, it is Monday.
Okay.
Today is 27th.
But no, it's not supposed to come out on Monday. It's supposed to be submitted to government on Monday.
That's right.
Where the Executive Council of Lagos will deliberate on it and then, make it available to the public and all of that.
Okay.
And because it's that according to, what we've heard, what we've been made to understand in the law, the white paper is like a kind of action point document for government. But the report isn't supposed to be a public document.
Which is the reason why a lot of people felt scandalized and whatever when the Minister of Information was talking about the report. He was talking on the leaked report, whereas the president had said that he was going to wait for the various states to take action on their various reports before the federal government would say or do anything about those reports.
Well, I guess I don't know, when the report was leaked and went viral, everyone was pointing fingers at the Minister of Information and Culture for what he had said that it was a massacre without bodies. Meanwhile, in the leaked report, it was expressly stated it's a massacre with bodies. So I think that's what he was trying to respond to. Was it too early? That's what a number of people, say that maybe he was a little too hasty. And by the way, and this fact is also not popular, unfortunately. But it's also it's a fact anyway. That panel delivered 2 reports to the police. 2 reports. Now, first, the originally the panel was set out to look at cases of police brutality in the city.
In general.
In general.
Yeah.
Across all, levels and whatever.
Yes.
That is the primary one. So there is a report for that. The October 20 was an addendum. So it was just like an additional responsibility to that committee. I think the committee was set up. That addition was made. The committee was originally set up, I think, October 18 or October 19, 2020. And, of course, after the 2010-20, it was about the 23rd or 24th, the governor announced that same committee will take on this assignment as well. So they now came up with 2 reports. One for the cases of police brutality, including recommendations for what to do in the name of welfare for the police in Lagos, so that at least, because that's part of the 5-for-5 demands of the NSAS protesters. And then this one, this is the situation. This is what happened at Lekki Toll Gate, and everyone who is culpable should be recognized. If the state is found wanting, it's included in that one and all of that. So while we are looking at this particular leaked report, what of the other one that's not been leaked? That's even
that doesn't seem to be as important as the Lekki Toll Gate one.
But that is the reason.
That is the cocoa.
Exactly. That's the reason why everything started in the first place. Look, cases of police brutality necessitated, or rather occasioned, NSAS 2010-20.
Indeed.
So that is the report we should actually be looking at. How do we ensure such things that happened on 2010, that culminated on 2010-20, does not happen again? That's what that first report is about.
Yeah.
And I'm hoping that, you know, because the governor said he wants history to judge us fairly.
Yeah.
Everyone, it's like all eyes on Sanwo-Olu right now.
Well, we will start hearing more about that next week, of course, when the white paper is submitted.
I am wondering.
And as they say, we'll take it from there. We shall take it from there.
Okay, that is Lagos. Still talking about Lagos. You know, you've been talking about you women.
You women. Who do we cook for?
As I was saying, please don't interject at me when I'm talking.
I'm sorry.
Thank you. You women have been talking about...
us women.
The rising prices of cooking gas and all of that, and everything that the government is doing at various levels. Interestingly, the same Lagos State has also commissioned the gas plants to try to solve some of the problem.
Hip, 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 hooray.
Okay, I will respond the way Zebra would, Gringori would respond, so go.
Hip, hip, hip.
Hurrah.
Well done, Lagos State, because this is very timely. We've been screaming for weeks about the upward trend in the price of gas, and we thank you for doing something about it, although from what we heard in the course of the week, from the guests you all had on Sunrise Daily, we require about 2 million metric tons.
Absolutely.
And Lagos is supplying 40 of it. Was it 400?
40 metric tons for 20,000 homes in a particular locality in Lagos.
Only. Okay.
And I think the plan, thinking, is to replicate same. I think from what I heard from, the corporation handling it for the state, the state-owned corporation handling it, I think they're looking at 20 such plants scattered in different parts of the state. Okay. Now, that is one way to do it. Part of the National Gas Expansion Program is collaboration with states. So part of the question that we asked the program manager for the federal government yesterday was, look, what kind of partnership, what kind of collaborations are you having with the states to handle this matter? And one of his responses was that the comment ascribed to Dr. Okowa, the governor of Delta State, was made at the sensitization meeting they had in Delta State. That's the National Gas Expansion Program went to Delta State for that sensitization program so that people will know how important it is for us to use cleaner fuels such as gas as opposed to or those other dirty fuels that we've been using, address some of the climate change issues and stuff like that. So this is Lagos doing its own now. I'm hoping that every state, no matter what the capacity is, would also take it on, because without the states partnering with the government, the federal government in this, that gas expansion program is not going to work. It's supposed to expand to 20 million homes in 1 year. And when asked, the man said, so far we've been able to do about 2 million homes and create 1 million jobs. It's supposed to create 1 million jobs, 20 million homes reached with the gas expansion program. I'm not sure we are anywhere near where
hitting the target.
Going. So with this one being done by Lagos, I'm hoping that other states are already doing it. So let them just bring it up so we can know about it. Yeah,
but the thing also is that price of gas has gone up globally, and Nigeria is part of that global village. So it's a global phenomenon. So with gas prices rising the way they are, how many of these 20 million homes are going to be able to afford to buy gas? Especially since you're trying to get some people to just join the bandwagon.
I think the challenge, the reason gas prices are rising is because it's dollar denominated. It's an international, it's determined by the international market. And that is because we import. a
Well,
sizable chunk of what we consume.
Even if we don't import what we consume, we import what we use for the infrastructure to produce it locally.
So if we are able to, and then one of the plans, I think, of the federal government is to reduce, because guess what, we still export gas. So he's talking about, okay, let's bring down the cost of the number of exports that we do on that particular infrastructure, so that at least... Why are you looking at me like that?
No, talking about exporting gas. We're exporting crude. And meanwhile, our petrol is going to go up to 340 naira next year.
No. That's May. It's not will.
May. Okay. For many, government is just flying a kite. They see that the price of fuel is going to go up. So they're just throwing this in the air to see how are they going to react, these people.
Well, I think
you
are essentially talking about the planned subsidy removal from the budget.
Yeah, but if you recall, when fuel went up to 165 or whatever it was, Mr. Timipre Silva, in an interview, said to us that subsidy had been partially removed.
Partially?
Yes. So nobody's talking partially now.
First, it's actually started in March.
What percentage is partial? And what is left that is going to be removed by next year? Nobody is giving us all these details.
He wasn't the first to talk about it. He corroborated it. The NNPC GMD said it first on an interview we had. Look, we're going to take the subsidy had been removed because then the international the price of oil internationally was very, very low. So naturally everything else reduced with it, including the price of the commodities and all of that. But then when the prices, COVID began to taper down and activities resumed massively again, economies began to boost, and then before you know what is happening, price of oil rose, consequently everything else rose with it. And that's when that conversation again started. I think what is important really for government is to communicate with people. And that's one thing, I keep going back to the Babangida
Our
days.
job is to govern, not to communicate.
Who are you quoting?
I'm just saying.
Are you ruling or governing? Because it's only rulers that don't talk.
Okay.
Only rulers command.
Please, you're throwing your question to the wrong person.
No, you're the one who is speaking.
He says, share rule me, I be share govern.
Because, I mean, that's just the way it is. If you are in government, you are governing. You are not ruling. It's two different things. Okay? So, your job is to communicate with the people you govern. Yes.
In fact, sometimes even discuss with them before you go and do what you want to do.
Which is something that the Babangida government did well.
Talk to them.
Government mind is made up. We're going to do this. Just at least that's what.
But let's talk about it, Sha.
Let's talk about it.
For whatever it is worth. So you don't say we didn't discuss it.
We're going to do it.
Yeah.
Okay, you have a problem with it. What is the problem that you have with it? Okay, let's talk about the problem. Okay, we can do it this way, we can do it that way, but we're going to do it. that happened in that time. I wish we could just go back to talking with people. I mean, how do you live in the home with people and you just do things for them whether they want it or not, and you don't talk to them?
Unilaterally, I'm the boss.
Okay. And you'll get left behind by the boss.
Yeah. Arising from this subsidy business is that 5,000 naira talk for the poorest of the poor, 40 million people. And then there's the 500 naira issue as well.
A tale of fives.
A tale of fives, exactly. Abia government giving a backpack and 500 naira to women who've just given birth. Well,
you don't know how much what's the value of the backpack.
Well,
so it could be more, it definitely will be more than 500.
They didn't volunteer with that information.
And then you don't know how much it costs to have free delivery in the hospital. So that's also value.
Yes, true.
So those alone, let's even imagine for...
Okay, maybe the 500 naira should have been left out altogether.
Okay.
To just the backpack and then the free delivery.
Okay. I'm not sure he got the memo, but maybe that's just, but it's something that they do, so.
Because indeed, 500 naira cannot buy baby milk. It cannot buy diapers.
Well, maybe the backpack contains diapers and a number of other things like that.
Okay, so 500 naira is to buy ogi on your way home.
Cocoa.
Yes, cocoa, yes. Cocoa. Yes, our menu for this morning, we'll start with looking at the federal government and the monthly transport grant solution.
Okay, that's 5,000
Of
naira.
5,000 naira, yes.
So many questions around that one, we'll get there. And then we've been talking about this for a long time, vaccine production, the WHO standards, how far so far? There is some interesting information about this coming up.
Oh, I'm talking about vaccine production. The new variant, which apparently has not reached Nigeria yet. Thank you, Lord. Yes, after that, we'll be looking at leadership training.
About time. And then, what's this whole thing about twins? Twins. Who wants to give birth to twins? Is it Alero?
Well, they say twins represent blessings.
Okay, I guess she wants more.
Buy one, get one free. And we'll close with the Artist of the Week segment.
Oh, God.
And the artist today is a she.
You
I
can
think.
say affirmatively.
Yes, I can. No, it's not a shin. It's a she. It's definitely a she today.
Okay.
And that's how we were close to this program. In the meantime, grab whatever catches your fancy, whether it's cocoa
or cocoa. Or you bought with 500 naira. We'll be back.
See you shortly.
Well, we're all we have, right?
Definitely, definitely.
The issue that we want to look at now is right on your screen, the FG and the monthly transport grant that is being proposed. So many issues around that one. You wanted to talk about the 5,000 naira bit the other time. One of the questions you're asking is, where are we going to get the 40 million people? How does government intend, right?
Yes, because they say that the money is supposed to be transferred to accounts. And I'm thinking about the woman at the traffic light by my house, who's sitting down there with her pair of twins. I'm sure she doesn't even know the meaning of the word bank account. And definitely she's among the poorest of the poor in Nigeria.
Okay. Well,
and I'm sure she will not be covered by this program because she doesn't have a bank account. And there are many more like that. The beggars in Butemeta, for instance, you know, the lepers along the road to Ore. Are they going to be part of this program?
The question, that's one of several questions, because another question to ask is, why monthly transport grant? Why is it transport that government has chosen? Because it's not only, it doesn't only affect the transport sector, it affects that particular, subsidy affects not only the transport sector, it affects us across board. But I guess we can begin to take our guests now. The first two of them are ready.
Okay. Well, Professor Samuel Odewumi is the Professor of Transportation at Lagos State University. Good morning, and thank you for joining us, Prof.
Good morning. It's always my pleasure to be here.
And Lee Udodo is a public affairs analyst. Thank you for joining us as well.
You may want to unmute. Please unmute yourself so we can hear you.
Mr. Dodo.
Don't worry. Let's begin the conversation. I'm sure we'll get to it.
Okay, Professor. Government is referring to this as transport subsidy, which will be given to 40 million people, 40 of the poorest in Nigeria. What are your thoughts about this initiative?
Well, let me say that we have a proverb that says, that is, what? A frog does not know the way to the river, it turns to the pond. The federal government is at sea. they lack the clue on how to resolve the issue. So they are just playing all sorts of tricks. And the most painful part to me personally is that they had about 3 big opportunities to have done this effortlessly. And people will have even clapped for them to get the nation out of this gridlock, lockdown, economic lockdown for over 30 years. We are doing on this thing. You see, when the price of oil dropped, I spent almost half a day shouting, when the price is now 30 naira, $20 per barrel, that is the best time they would have done it. But what were they telling us? The Minister of Petroleum was saying, okay, we are doing price modulation because the federal government was gaining from what they are selling. So their thinking was, when the price goes up later, we will use our part of this saving. What a clueless and the most honestly unpatriotic act. Because oil subsidy is one of our greatest bottleneck for our economic survival. And let me say this outrightly. I've always said oil subsidy is a crime against this nation. Whatever anybody might have said, they are just playing to the gallery that this is not the right time. Has there been any time, any government since Obasanjo or before Obasanjo? I think Obasanjo was the one that had it rough. That's what made Oshiomhole a superstar. You see, the nation must get out of this quagmire of so-called oil subsidy. Anytime a attempt was made, there are so many social activists that will come and give reasons, including this president. He went on road and he said, if anybody is talking about subsidy, it is a fraud. I'm quoting him. Now he knows there is subsidy. It means as at that time, he has not done his arithmetics. So let nobody continue to say, even Labour, it is high time they just let this nation go. Let Nigeria go. Release Nigeria from this quagmire of oil subsidy. And I'm beginning to suspect that those who are taking rents from the payment of this subsidy, they are the ones that will want media campaign to tell the country that, no, this is not the right time. That's the argument. Not the right time. It is corruption. It is this. We are too poor. Are we poorer than Ghana? Is that Ghana not better off removing subsidy? Which country is paying this type of money? But now, we even like luxury of paying it. In the next few months, let's say 6 months maximum, we will not be able to pay. So nature has a way of dragging those who refuse to work. So because they don't know how to go about it, they are afraid of the backlash. That's why all these people, and that is not going to worsen things. Because this money will not be going, the money they will have used to fasten things and the economy generally. Get your infrastructure done, get your health sector done, things that will benefit the economy globally, they are now given to some people. When you continue to subsidize consumption, you are killing your productivity capacity and your ingenuity. All subsidy must go. Without this 5,000 is just, what do they call it? A bait. To say, okay, we are doing something, we are thinking of the poor. Whatever they do, I don't mind. The painful part to me is that they had 3 good opportunities. When they could have removed it, and they were now saying, when it was increased to that one, the 147 or so that we are buying now, they ought not to fix price. Deregulate, that's the action. But some people, for some reasons, they want the price to be uniform. What is price uniform in Nigeria? Is economic not running? So if we are all together, it is time to be patriotic. We should stop playing to the guy. When they went to Ogodjota, where are those people now? I shouted, and people are even threatening me that time that it is corruption in Jonathan's government. Is it corruption in Obasanjo's government? If you are holding something unnatural down, it will not be able to, it's not sustainable. That's the word. We may fool ourselves for some years, but it will get to a point where we have no choice.
Okay.
But to do
Thank you,
it,
Prof.
no matter how bitter it is.
Okay,
Thank you.
Thank you, Prof. Mr. Dodo, we have seen cost of fuel go up in this country many times, and we know what happens. The price of fuel goes up, and immediately the price of everything else goes up. So if subsidy is removed and fuel price, pump price goes up to what people are talking about now, a figure of 340 naira, just imagine what costs are going to be like in the market. Meanwhile, there's no talk about increase in salaries. Minimum wage will still be 30 naira, which some governments are not even able to pay. So imagine what prices are going to be like in the market. How are Nigerians going to cope with that kind of price hike? Mr. Dodo, are you there? Can you please unmute yourself so we can hear you?
Well, fortunately, we can't hear Mr. Dodo. I believe that the back end is working assiduously at that, and we're also hoping that our third guest will join us. But, you know, Prof, let's come back to you while we wait on that issue. Well, it's a difficult job that government has on its hands, removing this subsidy that you have talked about. And a number of people are wondering, it's not a question of whether or not, it's a function of when. It is something that has to happen. But one of the arguments of Labour is, you would remember there was an announcement by the group managing director of the NNPC back in March last year, I think, or thereabout, when he came on one of our programs and said subsidy has been removed or is just about to be removed completely because, it was very favorable at the time to do that on the basis of what you said. The oil prices were very, very low all over the nation. It was done at the time, at least.
All over the world.
Yes, at least that's the information that reached us. But the question of course, naturally, prices began to rise again when, in fact, fuel price at the time, I think, was reduced by a fraction, but then when oil prices began to rise again, a number of other things began to go up with it, including the price of fuel and all of that. So, as you said, many people agree with you, it's not a question of whether or not, it's a question of when. But then Labour is kicking, just as you have said. Perhaps the challenge that a number of people are talking to is communicating the fact to Nigerians, getting people to buy into the fact that things are going to be much tougher than they have it on their hands now. What are we going to tell? What should government be telling Nigerians? Because it's a reality that has to happen. It's only a question of when.
Yeah, thank you. I will say that, first of all, let me start with Labour. I'm pleading with them. For how long can we continue in this wrong-headed road? Mr. President of Labour, you will be popular when you take people to the street and say the same argument, oh, life is difficult now. When was there a time when attempt was made? If you know that if anybody does minimum of economics in the secondary school, everything you do, there is opportunity costs. All this subsidy, where 50% of it goes to Togo, to Dahomey, to Niger, to Cameroon, to Sudan, because that is where if you see the volume of oil we are importing, not for our economy, but for the economy of the neighboring countries, you will show that to think. And I want to, you mentioned one key word. Government does not communicate because they are insincere. Look at PDP. The chairman of PDP, that's a government that tried with Obasanjo, tried with Jonathan to deregulate, and this government now wants to deregulate, but because it is now popular to be in order to win the election. I'm telling you, if anybody thinks that when PDP comes, they will not remove subsidy, they are joking. And Dr. Ayu is a great hero of mine. And I was shocked when he said that the life will be, that is just plain to be gallery at the risk, at the cost of taking this nation down. The huge economic cost. Do you know how much that is going into this and how much it can do for us? So for me, and I want to plead with the media and the channel especially, a very powerful platform. Please, let us all save this country together. You see, you give your children what they need, not what they want. Serious communication, and that is the key word now. If we have a government that knows how to communicate, if Mr. President, we have to prostrate to Nigerians and say, Nigeria, I apologize. I told you when I was campaigning that there was no subsidy, that it was corruption. I now find out that it is true. The arithmetics, the econometrics of it all is that there is subsidy, and we cannot continue this way. You know, Lamido said, Jonathan government will not come down, but that is the next government will not be able to sustain it. Then, if you are in the same disease for 30 to 40 years, because children started knowing about fuel subsidy riot, fuel subsidy protest, maybe when they were in the primary school, those that have graduated in the university. So let everybody remove their knees from the neck of this country as far as subsidy is concerned. Let the government do it. Let us go through the pain once and for all. It will try to come down. That is what the government should communicate. Let also the media stop all this pandering, because it is sweet to the ears, but bitter to the heart. The heart of the economy of this nation. Okay, who is benefiting from the subsidy anyway?
Prof, if you can speak to, I mean, all the things you said, those are our realities. But moving forward, resolving this issue, how should government be communicating? What should government be saying to people? Don't forget, Prof, that any time government says anything, there is a high level of distrust. Very high. The trust quotient between the government and the governed is extremely low. I don't even know if that trust quotient can be subsidized. So how do we talk? How do we communicate with people that things are going to get a little tough? Permit me also, Prof, to refer you to the Second Republic. In the Second Republic government of Shehu Shagari, it was towards the end of the first term, into the second term, that they began to talk about austerity measures, asking people to tighten their belts. While it would seem like the government of the day and the people in government of the day, they were only getting fatter. So a people that have had such experiences over the years, how do we tell the people, how does government tell the people, how does the media, you've put us in the fray, tell people to trust government when the trust quotient cannot even be subsidized?
Non-existent.
Thank you. Honestly, I do not want people to trust government. Tell them not to trust government. Government is untrustworthy. They want to win election, that's all they are concerned about. It is, but this is about us. This is about this country. It is not about the government and Nigeria. This is about Nigeria for all of us.
But it's government that is going to remove this subsidy.
Now, you may contribute to helping government do it, or you may make it more difficult. Like what PDP is doing now. Like what media will be doing soon. Like whatever is about to start doing. Like putting...
Hello, testing. Can you hear me now?
Well, Mr. Dodo, just a second. We'll come back to you. We'll come back to you, Mr. Dodo. Prof, please continue.
So,
all right.
The communication should not be trust government. This is what we got to do. We have to do what we ought to do. If you anything you want to do, like when they circumcise a boy at the young age, they will say that is the pain he must have as a man. If anybody loves this country, if you are patriotic, we should get out of this quagmire. In fact, the fact that it is coming up means we are so stupid that we are not able to solve this problem. When the problem comes up breathing in your life, you are picking venereal diseases regularly. It means your lifestyle it cannot sustain your health system. So I don't want that. Nobody should trust government. But for government to help itself, it has to come clean. Apologize. That's the first place they should start. And that should start from Mr. President. Because he is one of those who put people on this frenzy of not believing the government before him. So anything he says now, people do not want to believe him. Let him apologize. Let all the social activists at Ojota, let them apologize to the government of these people. That we are back in a wrong course. And now we are at the end of the junction. It's a close. We are entering the very end of the close. So the communication, the message is we apologize. We apologize to all government before. This is what Nigeria has got to do for the survival of this country.
Okay. Mr. Dodo, you are a public affairs analyst. So what has been agitating the minds of a lot of people since this announcement was made was how does government intend to determine and pick out 40 million vulnerable Nigerians? I'm sure you've been thinking about that as well. Give us your thoughts.
Well, for me, the issue is not about it reaching out to 40 million Nigerians. The issue for me is the sustainability of the program. If you say you want to start giving 5,000 naira stipends to most vulnerable Nigerians, just like you pointed out earlier on in the program, that the real vulnerable people of which these monies are going to be paid into. So how do they get their 5,000 naira stipend? Now, if it's going to be something that is consistent, how sustainable is it? Even if it is sustainable over a period of time, that means Nigeria is tending towards a social welfare state. What we're trying to come up with is social welfareism. Okay, Nigeria is a consuming economy.
I beg your pardon, Mr. Dodo. I beg your pardon, Mr. Dodo. Government was very specific and said that this subsidy was to be given for 6 months. Government was specific. Yes, okay, 6 months.
Now, okay, even if it's for 6 months, it still shows that what the policy they are trying to, the program they are is a social welfare policy. That is very, very inconsistent with a consuming economy like Nigeria. It can only lead to more disparity between the rich and the poor. Because when you give 40 million Nigerians for 5,000 naira each, the resources that is being pulled together is being spread across people. Now, the purchasing power will only be increased for just a short period of time, which means people will now go and start buying goods and services that are, that are provided by the capitalists. The disparity between the rich and the poor will continue to widen. For me, I think that is a fireman approach to a fundamental problem. The issue at hand in Nigeria is not about giving out stipends to people. The issue at hand is about creating wealth. A consuming economy, the government has to provide the enabling environment for wealth creation. There's no other way about it. The big capitalist economy in abroad, the Western economy, what they did was they created the enabling environment for entrepreneurs to thrive. People with ideas that can bring in investments will come. The available environment is there for people to invest and thereby creating jobs. And if you create jobs, you create wealth. But in Nigeria, we are a consuming economy. People have people have ideas that can transform to job creation. You know, people have solid things that they can do to turn to investments, thereby creating jobs and thereby creating wealth. But the government is not putting the enabling environments for people to actualize their dreams and potentials. That, for me, is the basic fundamental problem that needs to be resolved. Removing subsidy, yes, it is okay for them to remove subsidy, but have you created the alternative for people to fall back on? Before you can say you want to remove subsidy, there have to be like foreign direct investments in refineries. We have 4 refineries that are not functioning, for crying out loud. These 4 refineries, you earmark billions of dollars every year to maintain these refineries. Who is a fool? Who is fooling who?
Yeah.
Well, one can only imagine what will happen, especially now that NNPC has been privatized, even though we're still waiting for the governing directors.
Before the privatization of NNPC, they should have made sure all the assets of NNPC have been privatized to the right sources. They can get foreign direct investors to come in and take over these refineries and make sure they are functioning properly.
Yeah.
Before you can do total deregulation without refinery, people are going to. People have not seen suffer yet.
Okay.
They need to make sure that market forces will determine the prices of petroleum products when
Oh dear.
They fully privatized. It's not enough because it's hello.
Oh dear. We're having technical issues with Mr. Dodo, so we'll bring Prof back. Prof, in real terms, how much do you think that this 5,000 naira will affect the life of a Nigerian, a poor Nigerian?
Please, this 5,000 approach is another wrong-headed decision. As I said, it is like there's something we call omonjowo in my clan. They give a child a rubber that looks like a feeding bottle, but it is completely empty. It's a pretense. It's a subterfuge. It's a drama to appear as if we are doing something. For somebody who cannot come clean and tell Nigerians the truth, let me tell them that it is better they use this 2 billion. They want to be wasting. So ensure that our Papa is fixed so that the private importers of fuel will get their fuel right on time. They will not spend so much. If they bring their fuel today, it will get to Sokoto almost the same day. That is what they should use the money to do. They should make sure they reduce almost to zero the charges they want to put on those that will be importing fuel. And their hope when they are putting June, we know the trick. They are waiting for Dangote. If they have to borrow Dangote money or loan him, whatever language it is, so that he will finish his refinery on time, because they will be giving to political acolytes, all those things, we know it. They should just please be honest and be sincere for once. How do you do the selection? How do you do the sampling? Where do you get your data? I've never believed in those things. They are just waste of time, waste of resources, wrong-headed approach. Do things that you see when you continue to feed people. You are giving them fish to eat on a day-to-day basis. Make life easier for them to function. Clearly, people be able to export their cashew, be able to export their yam. Free Papa, for instance, then get that 200 billion, get it to subsidize import. Okay, if you are bringing fuel, the federal government is going to give you so much to reduce your cost of transportation. So this will impact on the eventual price. So, me, honestly, for the 5,000 they want to do, it is, I will say it is fraud. Well, honestly, they should go away from it. It is deceiving people like me and you. But from somebody like me, I'm not deceived. They don't know what to do. They want to give the impression that they are doing something.
Yeah, well, perhaps there is also a reason to give some information to people, because there are those who are wondering, wait a minute, can we even get the right figures? For instance, there are those who are wondering, how do we arrive at the subsidy figures? People out there, those who are wondering, how much how much per liter of this fuel comes from which countries? What the landing costs are, and other such costs that ramp up the costs in the first place. Do you think government has been able to significantly and sufficiently even tell people that, look, we have been paying subsidy because of this figures?
Well, in the first instance, their subsidy arithmetic is voodoo arithmetics. The voodoo arithmetics is you bring your fuel to the ports, they give you social markup, 2% for the delay at the ports, 2% for getting out of a zone, 30% to get it, 10% for the bridging to get it to the north, 5% for this, 10% for interest, 10%. That is how they do the markup. So they've made those figures constant. So even if you bring your fuel today and it does not spend 24 hours before you get it out, the returner will still pay you. Those are the evil in the system, evil arithmetics in the system that Nigerians don't know. By freeing the system, you allow people introduce efficiency for private operators to bring the goods in. That's all. Because what you have matter, all those things are not what you go in when you allow individuals to efficiently bring in those things. So the way they calculated it is like an Excel sheet. You change this, that moves, you change that, that moves. But with an individual investor, individual operator, he knows that, let me tell you, to get a good from China to Apapa is less than to get it from Apapa to Prestac. Who has the importers? So and all this thing is being allowed because government says they are importing, they are subsidizing. So what the importers do is that they will say, I brought 1 million tons. And then 1 million tons, you have marked it up 50% for me. So I will get money for 1.5 million tons. So you will pay me the 0.5 increase. So it is not a iron cast thing, but they've casted it in iron because that is the way it is worked out. They are all assumptions. All the arithmetic of internal movement of fuel in Nigeria, they are all assumptions. And you will pay this, you will pay that, you will pay that. And that is why some cartel, I repeat, some cartel actually, I don't know whether anybody read the story of this Charles man when he was complaining about somebody who borrowed money who said that this guy got about 50 billion for fuel not imported. We are aware of all this. So the 5,000, I repeat, is a wrong-headed approach. Put it where the price will not go too high. Because if you now say, let me subsidize the transportation to bring fuel to Nigeria, let me not take for the first 6 months no tax at all on fuel. All we will be doing is to ensure there is quality. So that is all. And make the road free. And tell your checkpoint, toll collecting officers, please lay off these people. All the extortions in the world, people are paying 100,000, 200,000. We shouted about this. Nobody is doing anything about it. Corruption working on all over the place. They can't working. That is the way. That is what they should focus. But because politicians want to get money for their boys that they will use for campaign, that is the name they will put on that list. Okay.
Well, Mr. Dodo, you may also want to speak to the computation of the subsidy figures, because a number of people are still wondering, are we really paying subsidy? Because, I mean, as Prof had mentioned earlier, the current president at some point himself was at sea concerning the issue. Was like, hey, there is nothing like subsidy. And he said that at the time because he, at some point, was Minister of Petroleum and he was chairman of Petroleum. Oh, Mr. Dodo, I understand that he's not there anymore for now. And okay, anyway, Prof, I guess you are our main guest today on this issue. But
let me say something quickly, sir.
Okay.
You see, these arguments that people use to hold the people of Nigeria down. This argument of, okay, they should go and fix the refinery, the environment. Whoever waits for the blinking of the crab will stay too long at the beach. You see, if you say you are going to wait until the refineries are fixed, it means you don't want us to do it. You are looking for excuse not for us, because refineries may not be fixed.
But is it excusable, Prof, that we have 4 refineries that we've been spending a lot of money over the years for turnaround maintenance, and it never really turned around? Should we be asking questions around that?
Why do we now foolishly want to expect that it will turn around when you have not changed the actors? And the actors are Nigerians. We lack capacity for organization and management, especially as far as government is concerned. The other will come to this reality. When you come to, you see, every time I teach and people say the problem is because the policy is right or the theory is right, but it is the execution. I said no. Your theory, your policy must build in the characters of those that are going to implement those policies. Because if they are satanic, bring a policy that you know that Satans will not be able to read. That is what INEC is doing now. INEC knows that if you want to dine with the devil of Nigerian politicians, you have to have a very long spoon, like 10-kilometer spoon. So we cannot we cannot tell ourselves that, okay, let's wait until all the variables are right. I can tell you, for the life of all of us, the variables will never be right. Because they will say they are fixing the department. Technically, the government is waiting for Dangote. That's the reality. They were hoping that Dangote will roll out and it will solve, it will get them out of this. But Dangote keep kicking opening down the road. The kind of the opening of the refinery down the road. So my point is, the refineries may never come on stream. It is a people. It comes up today, it dies tomorrow. That is why we've been working to Babylon since about 5 years ago.
So are you then saying that even with the Petroleum Industry Act in full force, with the privatization of the NNPC and its subsidiaries, no hopes?
No hopes.
So what's the point?
Because except the private investors' shares is more than that of government. If it is 51, in which case the private investors are going to determine who is the GMD. But if Nigerian government is going to appoint who is going to be GMD, and Nigerian government is going to appoint who is the marketing manager, forget it, my brother. I ain't going nowhere.
Prof, if indeed subsidies are removed in 2022, does this not spell a lot of hardship for the common man? 340 naira approximately is what government is touting the pump price may rise up to. And you know how these things work in this country. Pump price goes up, the price of everything else goes up in Nigeria, and yet minimum wage is still 30 naira.
Please, that same argument is the argument that we've been using to deceive ourselves. I tell you verily, verily, when economy is properly adjusted, all the countries that are not paying subsidy, I mentioned Ghana. Ghana has oil. It's not paying subsidy, but that's where our companies are relocating. The people will adjust if you see, the point is this. When you continue to pretend as if, okay, price, people are worse off today than if subsidy were not paid. And the suffering of the so-called poor masses will not be significantly ameliorated. What you are just taking is placebo, fuel placebo. The poor man was paying full price for kerosene. They have been paying full price. Kerosene is closer to the poor people than petrol. You may say, yes, it will. Everything has cascading effect. But the point is, there is something they call cost-benefit analysis and something they call opportunity cost. The price we are paying for palliating the so-called poor people is making poor people to suffer times 10. So let the truth be told, let the fact be faced, let us get into the real groove of economy of it, and let us be sincere. That argument, how many times have you canvassed it since the issue of economy has come up? That is the argument, and that is the thing that has not made things to work. So it's better to change the game. If you are playing a game, like people said, it is a foolish man that we keep doing the same thing and expect a different result. We have been keeping this subsidy for till kingdom come. And we have remained, this argument of poverty for the poor people is still in place. We have never been able to solve the poverty of the people. It is because what makes people rich or poor is not the peanuts government offers. It is what they work for and what it makes the environment. Let me tell you, if they spend this 200 billion in fighting insecurity, that the farmer will be able to go to his farm, he will be able to go to his village. If you say, okay, all state government buy weapons with this 200 billion, change the firearm law, the governor can buy AK-47 for his Abateco and his what is that one in the east? This million, and the people can go to their farm and work. They will be better off, and there is no fear of kidnap. And you fix all those primary schools that are deregulated, they can go to the hospital and get cured. This is better for the poor man than the money somebody is holding. That is multiplying poverty. Don't give people money. In fact, you are destroying their ego. When people get money for not working, that is destroying their inner being. People derive joy in getting money for the work or the job they do. So we are promoting laziness, intellectual indolence. That's everybody wants to be in politics because that's where cheap money comes. And all of us, as long as we remain in that state of mind, where you can get something for nothing, then poverty will be our constant companions for the rest of our life until we wake up, because God is not mocked.
Well,
I give up.
I still come back to the issue of communication, Prof, with the people. This job of communicating with government is something that has to be done across board, that needs to be done across board. At least that's the understanding that I have at this moment, because it will seem like every time the federal government or even some state governments talk, people don't believe. Now, you've suggested that people should not trust government, but on this matter, only the government can do this work of removing subsidy and redirecting the funds. Only government can do that. People do not trust government. At least and then you have also talked about, about the NLC and the position that they have held over the years until now. Part of this distrust came from the fact that the government, according to Labour, they are still in conversations about how this whole subsidy thing should go. And then, boom, government comes out, makes this announcement, as Alero said, maybe flew a kite, flying a kite to see what the reactions will be to it and all of that. So in terms of trust, we have to do something with that trust quotient, because it's not just on this issue, it's on almost every issue as far as government is concerned. You've talked about the politicization of some of these issues. It's about elections, political capital, and all of that. But at the end of the day, it's the people.
Please recall that when Jonathan wanted to remove this subsidy, he started a massive communication campaign with Lamido, with Okoji-Iweala, with our comrade Oshiomhole to push the argument. That was the most creative way of dealing with the problem. But government did not wait until the opinion matured for people to say, because as at that time, it remains just about 3 months if they continue the regional movement. And now, if I want to say step by step, so fast to outline it. Number one, all those governments should apologize. That is the way to communicate effectively. Because if you have sinned and you realize that you have committed an error, your error may be sincerely wrong. Okay, I was wrong. You see, because that sense of apology will go a long way. This is what the government holds. That's where they should start. A big apology that we were sincerely wrong on this matter. People will honestly, now open their ears. That's where the distrust, the iron door of distrust, that is where you can first of all unlock it. So after apology, let them call all the media editors, the proprietors of media houses. Please, we are in trouble. I saw my friend here, Linus Okori. I hope maybe it's to another program, I don't know. Now, convince them. Let people work out the logistics of the debate that they will throw up to Nigeria. Recall that as bitter as a SAP structural adjustment was, Babangida did that same razzmatazz by asking people to go around the country to debate. You see, apologize, approach those who are the owners of the megaphone. The media call them and confess to them, and let them be convinced that people that are credible. Call people like Patutomi that let Okonjo talk to them, and then those that have not lost their personal credibility, let them convince the media stable, because that's the first thing, that's the major channel. Then you will not have to go around the country. Let governors do their own. Let local government do their communication, because it is going to be mass. You are taking us on the wrong road. So you must work to take us back on track. But as I said, step one, apologize. Step two, get the backing of the media houses. Step three, go around the country to tell the people.
Okay. Well, Prof, now that you have given government the marching order, I hope someone is listening and taking notes. Thank you so much this morning, Prof.
Thank you very much. Professor Samuel Odemume, who's Professor of Transportation at the Lagos State University. We also had a very brief chat with public affairs analyst Aliyu Dodo. Thank you very much for being with us this morning. I know that we couldn't hear you much, but you also made a contribution to this segment. Thank you all. Sunrise will return in just a moment with another conversation. Do join us.
Let's talk about leadership. To have this conversation with us, we talk about GOTNI, for instance, a leadership-centered organization with focus on redefining Africa's leadership. And of course, that will be holding an advanced leadership program on in the month that is just ahead of us in December. Lana Sokore is the leadership consultant. He joins us to have this conversation. Good morning, and thanks for joining us this morning.
Good morning. How are you doing today?
Well, we're good. Well, we've all been talking about the leadership challenge for a while. What is new that we need to adopt that we haven't?
So very interesting thing is this, that for our country to make progress, institutions, private sector, public sector, must embrace the culture of leadership development and leadership training at the top level, middle level, and even at the lower level. Because culture matters. Culture drives growth within organizations. In fact, nations of the world that have been able to make a lot of great progress, there have been nations that the leaders of these institutions and organizations, they have accepted the growth mindset principle, which means that they have submitted themselves to continuous growth and improvement. They have submitted themselves to continuous training. The greatest challenge you find in our country basically is that we arrive too soon. A lot of CEOs and top leaders, most do not even see the advantage of submitting themselves to training. But what has happened now is that instead of us going overseas to now train, Gotney in Nigeria has been able to set up a global leadership development center that is practically in the city of Abuja. What that means is that we have been able to design different courses, like 25 courses, that instead of people paying and we have capital flight going overseas to train, we can now train in Nigeria and bring the best of leadership standards, the best of faculty from within and outside Nigeria. And so, that is the exciting thing now that we have brought to the table. So, no more traveling overseas in that sense to train. We can now get the best of faculty in Nigeria and also have a local content in the context of leadership development. Take, for instance, we have just concluded a 7-day leadership, training for CEOs and top executives of both private sector and public sector. I mean, I had a particular case where, a multi-billion company, the CEO came in and she said she's traveled all over the world training from Harvard to everywhere. And she said, what else would she, really get to learn? And when she visited the leadership center, she confessed by herself that she has never seen this type of facility in Nigeria. And she decided to take a course. The course was 7 days. Guess what? She never missed one class because at every time there's a faculty comes in, it's like she has never heard of that before. It's like, so we're talking about transformational leadership in its core. We're talking about decision-making and leadership. We're talking about, strategy and execution. We're talking about mind leadership, some critical factors that can change the fortunes of organizations, even when challenges are there. Yes.
Sorry. How soon do we expect to see the result of this, your training center, so that we begin to see a, should I say change, or should I say a transformation in leadership in Nigeria?
So the reality basically is this. We need a critical mass of people to have a leadership mindset and a growth mindset. And the earlier we facilitate that, the better for our country. And that is why specifically that we have decided to say at a very high level, let's focus on the senior executives of companies, both private sector and public sector, who will now, if they are influenced, they have new mindset, they are improved on their leadership capacities and competencies, they can now provide leadership for their organizations. And if the more we do that, the more organizations that buy into this reality, the better for the prosperity that will be generated in public companies, private companies, the better in terms of results and impact. What we are talking about is more people, buying into the concept of training and building their capacities so they can perform in their leadership mandate, whether it's a private company or a public company, whether it's a small company that is growing, they all need a huge level of leadership development. And this is what we are advocating. And as I'm talking to you right now, remember that Gotney as an organization has transited. We have worked, we had the non-profit side of Gotney that have done a lot of free leadership development training program for Nigerians over the years. But now we have a Gotney Leadership Center that is now, an institution that is providing training, at a higher level for CEOs and middle-level staff. And as I'm talking to you now,
Mr. Okorie, that's the reason for the Advanced Leadership Program.
Advanced Leadership Program, specifically that we just graduated a set in Abuja for senior directors and senior CEOs of companies. Now we are bringing it to Lagos. Lagos had been asking, when are you coming to Lagos? When would you bring this leadership development experience to Lagos? The good news that I have right now is that the Marriott Hotel in Lagos, in Ikeja, Lagos, will now be hosting the Gotney Leadership Center because we're going to have an advanced leadership program for only about 40 participants, only 40 people that will make the class. So what we are asking is that great companies, who want to perform better in 2022, despite of the hard economic environment, will now send their CEOs and the top directors to participate, both in private company and the public company. If you run your own private company, it doesn't matter whether it's a car leasing company, it doesn't matter whether it's a bank, it doesn't matter whether it's a business entity of whatever sort, and you feel like it is time to take your leadership capacities and competencies to another level. You want to learn, how to be a transformational leader. You want to learn how to execute appropriately. You want to understand corporate governance from a leadership perspective. You want to be able to learn how to actually network for business growth. You want to understand how to stretch and build. In fact, it was Lee Kuan Yew who said, I have built this country with my life, and what I have got is a successful Singapore. What are you building? I'm asking right now, what are you building? So if you are building a company and you are growing every day in your leadership competencies, it means that the people under you will have the capacity to grow. But if you don't grow, then that's a challenge. So everyone who is in this country at the moment, you have an opportunity to actually aspire to gain a seat at the Advanced Leadership Program. It's 7 days from the 6th of December to the 12th. The graduation is on the 12th.
Okay, who are the people eligible to be a part of it?
So CEOs of top companies, executive directors, the lists in terms of experience is general manager, a GM. You have to be a GM, or you have to be a director or a CEO. You run your own business, or you are a director of a public company or private company, or you are a CEO of a particular business. So that's why it's called an advanced leadership program specifically. And you have very senior directors from government agencies attending, and you have CEOs of private companies attending, and they are executive directors and directors. So, or very senior managers, specifically. So these are the quality of the people that are eligible to participate. And like I said, it's only 40 seats that are available. The whole of the country, 40 seats that are available. So if you're listening to me right now, the best thing that can happen to you is to say, why don't we stop, retreat, replan, reinvest, reinvent in ourselves as leaders? Why don't we reshape our organizations by the way we shape ourselves? First, we'll build ourselves first before we build successful organizations. So this is an opportunity for everyone to be able to take advantage of that.
Mr. Korea, in parentheses now, is everyone a leader?
Everyone has the capacity to become a leader, everyone. But it is only the one that decides to invest in himself and prepare himself, to be able to lead. Then that one can now begin to gain competencies that are necessary for leadership. And I quote this: being a positional leader does not make you a leader. Having a position or a title does not, make you a leader. There are people who are occupying, big positions in this country. They are CEOs of companies, but they are struggling with certain leadership, and they are sabotaging their companies. They are sabotaging their organizations. Their organizations are failing simply because of the fact that these key leaders, they might have even good hearts, but they don't have the competencies to perform. So when a leadership development opportunity like this shows itself, what it means is that leaders will now decide to humble themselves and invest, spend money, spend resources to invest in themselves. In 2019, I spent, more than $60,000 to go overseas to take 4 leadership courses, despite of the fact that I've spent 27 years learning leadership. Every CEO must create a budget for leadership development at every level within the organization. So you can build leadership competencies, maybe you build honor within the organization, excellent thinking within the organization, productivity thinking within the organization, and then you drive growth. There's a sense of urgency in delivering the mandate of the company or the organization. And people must understand how leadership works. And that's what makes organizations different.
Okay, so what are the major benefits for those who are coming to this training program?
So for those of you who are going to be part of the training program specifically, you will learn the concept of transformational leadership, not transactional leadership. You will learn how to make decisions and make it quickly. You will learn how to work with different dynamics and build partnerships and collaborations on how to be able to build whatever business that you're doing. You will learn how to be able to apply corporate governance in your leadership development process. And most especially, you will understand mind leadership. The concept of mind leadership is currently the global trending leadership model on how individuals can lead with their mindsets. And when they are able to lead with their...
Oh, dear. You were just about to close that conversation. Okay.
Oh, he's back.
So these are some of the themes. And anybody who wants to participate, in this program, all you need to do is you have to send us a message on the phone number that is on the screen. Specifically, you want to send us a text message and say, my name is this. I like to be part of the leadership, advanced leadership program. The number that you should be able to send a message to is 081 579 919770. If that number can be put on the screen, the number is 081 579 19770. And for the last time, you send us a message and say, my name is this. This is what I do. I would like to be part of the advanced leadership program in Lagos. The number, another number is 080-335-12469. And for the last time, let me repeat the number, 080-335-12469. You want to participate, send us a text message and you will get a seat.
Okay, Mr. Korea.
We will let you know the requirement on how you can participate.
Okay, and this program is taking place when?
The program is taking place from the 6th of December to the 12th of December. It's a 7-day leadership retreat It's a 7-day leadership program, and the graduation, there'll be official graduation on the 12th. And that graduation, everybody's going to graduate with their jacket and shield, as if, I mean, it's bringing Harvard to Nigeria, literally. That's what it's about.
Okay.
So, please, can you help me put the number on the screen?
Well,
so
I have to apologize. We'll not be able to do that one now because this segment is officially ended. We have to thank you very much for being a part of our conversation this morning. Lana Sokoria is a leadership consultant. Thank you very much for your time. In the meantime, those numbers 0815 791 9770 and 0803 351 2469. If you miss this, a replay of this will be available on YouTube for you to get a number again in case you missed it. Thank you very much for watching that one. Sunrise continues after now. Do stay with us.
Welcome back. Now let's talk vaccines. You know, it's been the most topical thing in the world in the last 2 years, whichever way you look at it. So the National Agency for Food and Drug Administration and Control, NAFDAC, tells us that the country has met the recommendations, the criteria listed by the World Health Organization, WHO, for maturity level 3 status for it to begin production of vaccines soon. Now, if that is not good news, then tell me what is. Now, we have the Director General of NAFDAC with us this morning, Professor Mojisola Adeyeye. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for having me.
Little wonder your smile is so broad. So let's start with, what were the criteria given by WHO for us to qualify?
Do you mind giving us a back, kind of update before we go to that specific?
Okay.
Go ahead then.
I mean, I'm just curious.
Yes.
We've gone quite some distance before that. I mean, up until this one, I know that is good news for you. You've been at this for a long time yourself, researching into vaccine production and all. But before this, in terms of contending with the issues around COVID-19 in particular, how far have we come? How well have we done? What are the shortfalls that you think we had, and what are the things that we need to do to bridge the gaps?
Well, the COVID-19 pandemic taught us a great lesson. We are insecure in terms of drug security.
You told us that some time ago, and it was a little scary.
Yes, we are insecure for general commodities, drug, whether it is COVID-19 commodities or general commodities, because we import 70% of what we need, manufacturers 30%. But when COVID-19 pandemic hit or came, the reality is setting that we're in trouble as a country. We're in trouble because India shut down its pipeline. China was going through the peak of the pandemic. Our own local manufacturers couldn't get what they need. It was very scary. Something that was costing like $3 per kilogram of active pharmaceutical ingredient or drug was costing 3 times more, started costing 3 times more. So that was part of the reason why the federal government started looking inward as to the neglect of the health sector for decades. And they started putting money in some areas. For example, NAFDAC got money to update the vaccine laboratory for testing, meaning whichever vaccines we are bringing from any part of the world, we have to test it. And we need a laboratory that fits that purpose, you know. So that is part of the intervention that we got. But when the vaccine started coming in, and to answer my sister's question here, we couldn't even get the package for the vaccine, meaning the dossier. The dossier is contains all the studies that have been done during the development, from preclinical to clinical, and clinical phase 1, phase 2, phase 3. We couldn't, and that is the first time in history, recent history, that the regulatory agency will not have access to the dossier.
Why was that?
I just couldn't put two and two together. Why? Except that this was only happening in Africa. And I had so much pressure. They would ask, when are we going to get our own vaccines? When are we going? I said, we don't even have the dossier to begin with, because there are assumptions that were made at the beginning that maybe Africa is not capable of understanding the science behind it. I don't know. But finally, we started getting dossier through WHO. Meaning we have to sign, the regulatory agency has to sign a confidentiality agreement. And then they will send us the link, and then we can download whatever dossier, whatever vaccine has been approved by them, and then we download the dossier. So that was the first challenge. But we were able to get dossier. But getting the dossier and now approving or not approving is one step. Once a dossier, a vaccine is approved, the dossier is approved. We get ready for when the vaccines will come in. So that is the second stage. When the vaccines come in, the fact that we have approved the dossier doesn't mean we're not going to test it in the lab. And for the past 4 years, and I'm going to go back to what...
Oh, we'll definitely get there. I just wanted us to get this background.
But, yes. Yeah. So we've been upgrading our laboratory, even the ones that we are expanding, in order to be able to test the vaccines. And then we do what is called lot release. Most countries in Africa, when they get the vaccines from WHO, they don't test. And I said, we will test. And there's what we call certificate of analysis. This is the certificate that accompanies any product that is approved in terms of, oh, these are the tests that we went through in our own laboratory, the company that is making it. I insisted that we have to have the certificate of analysis so that we know the test parameters that went into them approving it. So, because of this, the newness of these vaccines, some of the testing that they did actually was customized for that company, meaning they may have to synthesize some reagents in-house to be able to test what they made. It happens that way. So our first vaccine, AstraZeneca, came with the certificate of analysis. In fact, we got that. We were very, very lucky to get that before the link or before we signed confidentiality agreement. I worked, one-on-one with Serum Institute of India, and they were kind enough to send us the dossier. That was the only dossier we got independent of WHO. So when we got the certificate of analysis...
For the very first batch.
For the very first batch.
Which was March last year.
March last year, yes. Exactly. Yeah. So we were able to... That was the first one we got independent of WHO, and that helped us greatly, and I'm going to tell you why it helped us very greatly. But in terms of the testing, okay, this company customized their own reagents to test the vaccines, but there may be 10, 12 parameters or testings that will go into the approval of one vaccine. So what we will then look, because we call them, can you send us reagents to test A, B, C, and they will say they customize their own. But we then look through the 12, 13, whatever list. Okay, which ones can we do in-house that will be safety indicating? talk about sterility, for example. A vaccine and injection has to be sterile. If it's not sterile, it's going to affect the patient. So we had 4 or 5 out of the many that we could test in-house. We do, without testing that, we weren't going to release the vaccine for consumption. Mm-hmm. That is what is called lot release. That's what we have been doing. Because I want to be sure that whatever we're going to get in the country will not make us ill. You know, we will get the positive outcome of it. So that is the background of where we have been or where we are right now. But one good thing about us working directly with the company, Serum Institute, is also the ability to track and trace the vaccines wherever they go. And it is a technology-driven, what you call traceability. It is highly, highly IT-driven. You have to be very, very versatile. And NAFDAC is blessed with some staff that are really good with IT.
Well, so, are these traceability ingredients, I don't know what you call it, these trackers, are they inside the
That's a good question.
The vaccine itself?
That's a good question. It's just barcoding.
Because some people will say,
no, it's not in the vaccine, it's on the package.
Okay.
It's on the secondary packaging, because you have the tertiary, primary is the vial itself.
Yes.
Where they put the vial is the secondary packaging, and where they put so many vials or so many boxes of vials is called tertiary. So this is barcoding on the box. Why? These days, without barcode, most things cannot be traced.
Yeah.
So what we were able to get is we were able to get information about what we need to track and trace the 4 million doses of AstraZeneca because of the capacity of our own staff. And NAFDAC became the first country in the world, agency in the world, to use that technology to track where all the vaccines were in the country. Well, meaning, when it came to Abuja, what is good for us is also we restricted where the vaccines will come through. So we restricted it to Abuja airport.
Yeah.
And then once it gets there, it's taken to the cold store, the national cold store, and that is where our own staff will wait for the vaccines, and we do what is called commissioning or scanning. So we scan into the database. So 4 million doses vaccines, we scan into the database. So if 2,000 goes to Gombe or 500 goes to Oshu, we will know that this batch or 500 of this batch went to here, here, here. NAFDAC is the first country in the world, the first agency in the world to use that. And it's because we were able to work directly with the manufacturer.
It would seem like there's a lot of work that goes into this whole thing that we all know. But then it would also seem like you are switching gears, so to speak, with this WHO standards question, which my colleague asks it all the time. We've been talking about this for a long time, vaccine production in country and all. But it's not the first time we're producing vaccines in the country, is it? Not the first time. But then this WHO standards became necessary. Why is that? Why couldn't we just lean on what they call existing protocols?
Because of the advances in
technology,
medical science, in pharmaceutical science, in IT. I just mentioned traceability now. Many, many years ago, you don't know how to even track and trace, but now with barcoding, you can. So why WHO is now having guidelines or giving us guidelines in terms of, or recommendations to meet, is because of time. The time has changed. We used to manufacture yellow fever vaccine in Yaba before, but the conditions have changed now.
Why I ask that question actually is so that we don't ever go back to that time when we now need almost 1,000 recommendations, or what are
Yes.
standards?
Yes.
898 standards.
868.
868 standards for vaccine production.
Actually, it's not for vaccine production.
Okay.
It is for the regulatory agency that will need to monitor any drug, whether it's vaccine, whether it is Panadol or whatever manufacturing. For example, I got into NAFDAC 2017, November. By January 2018, we started this roadmap towards maturity level 3. And what is the best thing that could happen to any agency, by the way? Because it is the foundation laying. So we did self-audit. We had to do self-audit. And we have 8 categories from market control, meaning if this drug comes into the country and is approved, it goes to the market. If there's an issue, can it be recalled? If it expires, can it be destroyed? That is market control. Market authority, I'm giving examples of the functions, regulatory functions that make up the 868. Market authorization. What is our means of registering product? How long does it take to register product? What are the criteria that we use to register any product, whether vaccines or no vaccine? Another function is vigilance, what we call vigilance. Pharmacovigilance, which we are using as we speak to monitor the COVID-19 vaccine. How strong is NAFDAC in terms of safety monitoring of any product? So this has nothing to do with vaccine directly, but WHO is looking at the global strength of the agency. Yeah. Regulatory inspection is another category that make up that 868. And they gave us 100 recommendations here, 20 recommendations there, regulatory inspection. Are you using international standards to monitor, to inspect?
Do your staff ever encounter issues when they go out to inspect, for instance? Because in the course of this week, we heard about standards organization staff who went out to inspect stuff in the market.
Yes.
And they were attacked and, beaten up and all that.
Yes.
So do your staff encounter those kinds of incidents as well?
Yes, we do. Let me just start from this not so obvious thing. When you want to inspect, do you have vehicles to inspect first? If you don't have vehicles, are you going to take Okada? They're going to mark you on whether you are capacitated enough to even go. But coming back to your question, about 3 years ago, somebody reported that an antibiotic in the northwest or northeast wasn't working, and they took it to our lab, and we started tracking, and we tracked it to Onitsha Bridgehead. It had 0 content.
Oh, God.
Antibiotic.
Well, slow down, man. So, you found a drug in the north.
Yes.
And you tracked, the factory?
Where it came, where it was bought. Because, for example, if a pharmacist or patent medicine dealer bought something, where the receipt, where did you get it from?
Yeah.
We tracked it that way. So, our investigation and enforcement directorate went to inspect.
Onitsha.
Yes.
Onitsha Bridge.
Yes.
On top bridge.
No, they call it Onitsha Bridgehead. And we went, okay. The investigation and enforcement directorate also houses the federal task force. The federal task force is supposed to monitor substandard falsified medicine, unwholesome food, C-34 law. That's one of our laws. They went and they found out that the drugs were not where the drugs stores are. The drugs were in a plumbing section of the market. But that's its intelligence. And then our staff went there with police and they mobbed them. They mugged them.
So to begin with, the person who brought those drugs in knew that they would contain nothing. So he was hiding in the plumbing section.
The person that first of all used it, that reported that he or she wasn't feeling better, took it to our own lab.
Yes.
In Kaduna. And we started investigating. And we then knew that that medicine came from the bridgehead. So it has nothing to do with the person now. It is now we tracking it.
Okay.
The person just didn't feel better, health-wise.
Okay.
And then we tracked it to the bridgehead. And any of our staff could have been killed. Our staff have been death threats. We get death threats. One of our staff in Kano, the daughter was kidnapped because he was doing his job. So that is what people don't know about our day-to-day activities. And that is just one of our 18 directorates, in investigation and enforcement. So just like you said about Son, they've attacked us many times, many times. A driver that doesn't even have anything to do with inspection was threatened that if he took any of our officers to go and do what they're supposed to do, they will kill him.
Oh, dear.
So that is, now going back to vaccines. So regulatory inspection. WHO wants to know that you are capacitated enough to be able to inspect a vaccine lab.
Well, madam, all these regulations, just as you have said, they don't have anything to do directly with the production of the vaccine.
That's right.
Wow, 868 recommendations. Okay, so how about the vaccine production itself?
Good.
Where are we?
So now, from the vaccine production, without an agency meeting the maturity level 3 threshold, the country will not be allowed to manufacture vaccines.
So all those other criteria had to be met if you wanted to.
Exactly.
So that's nothing to do. We have not even started talking about the production.
Now
it's just laying foundation for the house.
Just laying foundation. Now for the production. For example, we have a company, BioVaccines in Nigeria, that is partnering with the Ministry of Health. It's a PPP arrangement. The ministry has 49%. The private company has 51%. Now, in fact, they just announced their factory is going to be in Ogun State. And the Ministry of Environment in Ogun State just had a public announcement that BVNL or BioVaccine will be breaking ground very soon, and the community is being informed that, if they have any questions or whatever concerns, let them know, because it's a vaccine production facility, and the Ministry of Environment also, weighs in. So that is already imminent, that we're going to start, Nigeria is going to start its own vaccine manufacturing very, very soon.
How soon is very, very soon?
2022.
Okay.
Yes. Now, from the beginning, meaning with the engineering works, laying the floor plan, NAFDAC has to be involved. Why? Because it is part of good manufacturing practice. We want to be sure that it's going to be built based on international standards. Yes. For example, when the vaccine facility is completed, it has to be WHO pre-qualified, the facility itself. So we want to be sure that the quality is built into it, not added after.
Right from scratch.
Exactly. So we're going to be there. Our Drug Evaluation and Research Directorate, in charge of GMP inspection, will be there from the beginning. Now,
I beg your pardon, Prof.
yes.
Did Nigeria go through all this, NAFDAC go through all this before we began to produce vaccines in Yaba?
No. No.
Okay.
No.
Why?
Okay,
The
first,
standards were not there at the time?
the standards were not as rigorous at that time. And with the times that have changed, I knew when I joined NAFDAC as DG that the foundation has to be there. We are setting a foundation for vaccines, for any type of
Other
drug.
things in the future.
Exactly. It is a legacy work that we are
Project.
doing. You know, so the standards, the standards are there to protect the public, because if a regulatory agency doesn't even have a clue of the criteria that will need to be used to inspect a vaccine or a facility, then that facility can be approved without meeting the expectations, and then it will pose danger to the public.
And ultimately affect sustainability.
Yes.
Now, so to the question of sustainability, as you said, there was a time in our country that we were producing vaccines.
Yes.
And along the line, we stopped producing for whatever reason. How do we ensure, or how is NAFTA going to help ensure, given all these Herculean 868 recommendations, that we don't go back to the time when we lost the capacity to produce vaccines? What's the sustainability assurance that you can give us?
Thank you.
That is not only for, because everyone, including you, have also said, look, this is the pandemic we're dealing with now. It's probably not going to be the only one.
That's right.
In the shortest possible time, and hopefully not. But as Zebudaya would say, to be forewarning is to be forearming.
That's right.
So how do we ensure that we do not go back to that time where we now have to build from scratch all over again?
You know, this question has been asked over the last 2 months, maybe 3, 4, 5 times, different forum. I happened to pass through a phase in my life as a professor in the U.S. As an assistant professor, I joined the university. I didn't know the details of the history of the university in terms of money and whatnot. And a few months before I joined this university, the president, what we call VC, also joined the university. They got a new president. I then learned, as soon as I joined, that this university was bankrupt before they employed me. Faculty, professors will go to the street and panhandle and said, please donate for this university.
research.
Yes, please donate for the university. I didn't know. And this president came, he has looked through the books and found out that there was big loopholes in the management of the finances. Because you can spend money on things that you think are good, but in terms of sustainability may not be good. For example, this university is a religious university, and they were giving scholarships to this person, to that person, but there wasn't enough money coming in to offset the scholarship. So when this new president came, he said that when he leaves the university, it will take a genius to bankrupt it again. What did he do? He said, all of us need our brains to be washed. So we started going through what is called quality management system. That was what I adopted for NAFDAC, my first quarter here. We started going through quality management system. Quality management system is a system that puts the customer first, meaning you, me, as the user of medicines or food or whatever. What am I doing that is going to affect you when you take this medicine or you drink this water? What am I doing that that will impact negatively? And what can I do right? So we started imbibing standard operating procedures to drive our processes. We started having documentations. We started digitalizing our systems. This process started February of 2018. And we were trained. It's an agency-wide training. Started from Abuja, Lagos, we cascaded to the states. From the states, cascaded to, to the zones, rather. From the zones, we cascaded down to the states. For everybody to start imbibing this culture of customer first. And that's why we changed we added our logo, another motto, customer-focused, agency-minded. If I'm customer-focused and I'm minding NAFDAC, I have NAFDAC in mind, it means I love this country. Prof. So that was what happened. Quality management system is not one-off. We got accredited or certified June of 2019. By November, we've started another year of recertification. We got certified in 2020, recertified 2020. By November 2020, we started another cycle, self-audit, introspection or whatever. And then we just finished the one for 2021, and we got recertified. We have started 2022 in November. That is what is going to sustain it. It is having a system that is strong enough to be repeatable, reproducible for the benefit of the customers.
Yeah, Prof, when you spoke about your staff going to the market and being threatened and being mobbed and all that, is NAFDAC thinking of any kind of awareness campaign to the Nigerian to make him understand that the work you're doing is actually for their benefit? That you don't want them spending money buying medicine that will not cure them, or even buying medicine that may even make their condition worse, or even kill them, which is the basis of the work that you're doing. Maybe you need to make them understand that.
Actually, we do, but we can do better. We can do better, whether it is the enforcement that we go out. For example, about a month ago, I got a call from the director of enforcement. Dijima, we have a raid to make at what do you call it? It's a big market in Lagos. They got intelligence report that there are 2 warehouses with a lot of falsified medicines, counterfeited medicines, medicines that have been banned. What did we come out with? Over 20 truckloads of counterfeit, banned medicines, medicines that can kill, including tramadol. So, first of all, we didn't plan for that, budget-wise. 20 truckloads. And we have to then put them in the warehouse and then destroy. So, but to come back to your question, we can do better in terms of saying what we do is, it's just that maybe we need to put more emphasis, underscore it, that this is for the safety of me and you, because we are part of the users. So it is extremely important that all these functions converge together for a regulatory agency. I was at the meeting, we just finished the African Medicine Regulatory Harmonization Conference yesterday. And WHO came to present in terms of vaccines. And they said, no ML3, no vaccine production for any country.
You've talked about, what do you call it? Well, herbal
medicines.
Medicine. So many times in fact, even on this program, you've talked about how passionate you are about it. There's a name you give, phytomedicine.
Phytomedicine, yes.
Is there any hope for that now? We have to round off in a minute, but Is there any hope in the nearest future to ramp that up and make it official?
Actually, yes, there is even better hope now. First, because we want a renaissance of our natural medicines, phytomedicines. There is a lot of activities that have been taking place since March of 2019 from NAFDAC. We have been educating the herbal practitioners. We are pairing them up with researchers in the university because herbal practitioners may not know the science. So we are pairing them up. And
on this,
yes.
we need to take a break now, Alero, because I don't think we should let her go yet on this particular one, because it's like saying the art of something and the act of something. There's been that challenge in certain segment that we have in our country. But we'll take a short break.
Thank you.
And when we return. Professor Mojisola is still with us. She's Director General of NAFDAC Phytomedicine.
Yes.
It's so readily available. It's handy. And many people see short videos, of course, in this age of digital media.
Yes.
People can easily circulate, all kinds of videos and all. So if we don't get ahead of these officially, we might continue to have these issues. So I'm speaking against the backdrop of, okay, so this is what it is. And I saw a video recently of someone saying that there are some medicinal values in from a palm banana tree. It's not the banana itself.
Yes,
it's not the tree. It's that hop, the end of the bunch.
Oh.
If you want to take care of it.
They come out looking pinkish or reddish.
I don't even.
Like a tail.
That one, yes. The top of it. For some blood, conditions and all of that. So if we don't get ahead of these, of this officially, people are going to continue to try all kinds of things that could jeopardize their lives.
Yes.
So how far are we from making phytomedicine official?
Actually, that is my own dream. That's my own goal.
I know.
Let me just start with Ewuro. Ewuro is on Amazon as capsules.
Yes.
Slow down, girls. What's going on here?
Yes. And it is native to us.
You have not heard?
Ewuro in capsule.
Yes.
Benny.
On Amazon.
Benny.
Yes. So there are
you
many
can buy
things,
bitter leaf capsules
there are
in
many
chemists
things
in America.
we have that are of medicinal value, but we have not investigated. We have not documented it. That is why NAFDAC started the Herbal Medicine Product Committee in 2019 March to bring the herbalists that have been handed so many recipes by their ancestors that don't know the science, to pair them up with the scientists. So we have about 8 or 9 pairs now of herbalists and researchers working together. CBN has the Health Sector Research and Development Intervention Scheme with emphasis on our phytomedicines. What we want to do is to see these pairs being funded so that the investigation can be done. For example, this talk of a banana tree or whatever, who knows? There may be medicinal property there, but it has to be investigated. Without investigation, it will just be...
How far are we from that partnership, from that funding thing? Because we know that that fund that you talked about from CBN is especially for research. That's what the CBN said at the time. Yes. So how far are we from that?
We are actually in the middle of evaluation of submissions, applications that were submitted. And this body of, there's a body of experts that reviews the submissions. And I believe by the end of the year, we're going to wrap it up to know who will be funded.
That's about 4 weeks away.
About 4 weeks away.
Wow.
We will. Because we started a while back. I shouldn't say long time. But many of us in the body of experts are also heads of their agencies, busy. Pandemic threw everybody out of their regular schedule. So we couldn't finish as quickly as we should in the review process.
Now,
but we will.
Okay, in the pairing,
Yes.
I know that it could be difficult to get herbalists, especially the local ones, away from their natural way of doing things and get them to make it official and stuff like that. How easy has that been? How welcoming are they of that idea?
Actually, that's a very good question. Because when we started this herbal medicine product committee, the herbalists came to me and said, DG, we're not going to trust the researchers because they're going to steal our ideas unless NAFDAC is going to midwife it. So what we did, aside from creating a conducive environment to pair, is to create a confidentiality agreement between the herbalist and the researcher, and for NAFDAC to be the witness. So we have done that. So those 9 pairs or 8 pairs that I was talking about came with us with the confidentiality agreement that if NAFDAC midwives it, they will have confidence. So that is how far the pairing has been. Our own herbalists also have been trained or exposed to protection of their information, intellectual property. So we brought in patent attorneys to talk with them. That if you have something that you think is going to change the world in terms of health, come to us and file for patent. We brought in, what do you call it, trademark office, Ministry of Trade, to come and talk with them. So they are getting much better in terms of what they should know. So this pairing, I believe, is working. And very, very shortly, we're going to see products coming into the market. That are, for example, NAFDAC is one of the few countries in the world that even have structured means of approval of herbal medicines. Even FDA in US doesn't have it. We have 2 levels of approval. The listing approval, meaning we go through the safety to make sure, we do safety tests, to make sure that if I take this medicine, I will not die. But the efficacy part of it, which involves clinical trials, which is costly, is where everybody gets stuck.
Yeah.
So we do the list. There are many products that are listed in the market, our market. So we have a structured way. It is now for private donors, philanthropists, government to encourage clinical trials of herbal medicines. And before we know it, we're going to be stumbling on so many things. Sickle cell is one of them, you know.
Wow.
Prof, we had a guest here once who said that his child was ill and he was given some medication in the hospital and the child didn't improve over 3 or 4 days.
Yes.
And then, you remember?
Yeah.
And then he had to go and complain, and then they tested the drug and they found that it contained nothing at all, which was the reason why the child was not getting better.
Yeah.
So my question is, does NAFDAC have the numbers to actually check every drug that is manufactured in this country, every drug that is coming into this country? Because we still see wheelbarrows of all kinds of strange colored capsules. Name the color under the sun. The capsule is in that wheelbarrow. And I'm sure that most of them are just plain, excuse my language, crap.
Yes, actually, this is one of our activities that we do every day. The hawkers. We seize their wares. Unfortunately, you seize the wares of a hawker in Ikeja. Next time they leave, they are in Agege.
Next time he's in Lagos Island.
Lagos Island, you know.
So that's just talking about one state.
Yes.
Oh, God.
We continuously monitor and go after this. However, in terms of products that are coming in, through the formal route, pre-shipment testing was there before I joined NAFDAC. But there were big gaps, loopholes in that pathway or whatever for drugs coming process. And these are for drugs coming from India and China. Because that is where most of our 70% that come in, that's where they come from. So what we did was we went to China and India with about 7 or 6 of my staff. But before we went, all the old laboratories that we've been working with, we told them to send what they have. What are the testing, what are these instruments that they have and so on. And then we send them what we are coming to inspect. So between China and India, we went over 19 laboratories. Individually, looking at the different companies or the different laboratories. We call it clean report inspection analysis, or analyst for those that are in charge, CRIA. Then the agents, CRI agents that are in charge of those laboratories, will let them know that we're not going to be dealing with the laboratories through you. We're going to be dealing with the laboratories directly. And with you directly. Since then, I've not been given the update now, but 2 months ago, we have over 70 different types of medicines that have been stopped. And we are not talking of one container. If we had approved them, you are talking of maybe 50 containers, because once you approve, it's for 5 years. The renewal comes after 5 years. So we have stopped about 70 different products.
How come?
What about food? Because we see all kinds of things on shelves in supermarkets, and you wonder, where did this one come from? Especially from China, we're told.
Yes, that is a big challenge for food. First of all, if it is company to company, the NAFDAC is monitoring that, company to company.
Yes.
But we have what is the global listing pathway or process for the big supermarkets. For example, if a big supermarket is going to come up with 1,000 products, you cannot test 1,000 products. But the supermarket has to know where they are getting this from. If it is not credible, we will do random sampling on the shelf. And if they fail, we're going to fine or sanction the supermarket. We are doing that. We are trying to improve on that, because that is, you mentioned on the shelf, and many of these some of these are imported, of the global listing supermarketers. If it is local, we are in more control, first because it is one product to one agency, or 2 products to one agency. Whereas if it is global listing, it's 10,000 products, 5,000 products. But our supermarketers are very, very aware of the vigilance of NAFDAC.
So the fear of NAFDAC is the beginning of wisdom.
Beginning of, yes, it's the beginning of wisdom for the health of our people. Yes.
Well, you forgive me, still on this, phytomedicine and all, because I'm sure I know you're also big on nutrition. Now, there are agencies of government at the subnational level, like I think it's the Lagos State Natural Herbal Medicine Training System or stuff like that. I don't know if Lagos is the only one or there are others in other states, but how is NAFDAC working with them in a way, because we know, I've also learned that between the official pharmaceutical companies and the natural medicine, there is a little bit of tiff that needs to be married. So how are you working that out to ensure that, look, ultimately, it's for the good of all?
Actually, yes, we're working with I've forgotten the LSMB, MTB or whatever. We're working with them, but we work with them based on, because it's a conglomerate of individuals that have their own companies. But we work with them through the individual herbal practitioners. And if, for example, a product comes from that end, it has to be scaled up. And there are few companies, I'm talking of pharmaceutical companies now, that are ready to scale it up once the clinical trials are done for efficacy, once, of course, the safety is first done for listing, and then for clinical trials for efficacy. One aspect that I need to bring up is NIPRID, National Institute for Pharmaceutical Research and Development. NIPRID was created to focus on phytomedicines. And NIPRID is doing a lot right now and in terms of research and development, and even training of some of these practitioners. It's not just NAFDAC's job. Primarily, it is actually NIPRID's job to ensure that phytomedicine dealers are well-trained and so on. So NIPRID is also doing that. And I believe we're going to get a lot of mileage out of that, because it's a research institute, and they focus only on research.
Do they have the kind of funding they need? Because we understand that they have also complained about funding.
Actually, the federal government funded NIPRID along with other health sectors. So I believe NIPRID has some funding from the federal government. So things are much better now.
Will you say the same for NIMA?
NIMA, I don't want to be talking on behalf of others.
No, yes. I know. Because ultimately, you're big on research, yes. And the basis of everything is research.
That's right.
And since both of them, NIPRID and NIMA, are research institutes, I'm just wondering.
NIMA is also getting a lot of attention now. It is extremely important what NIMA does. We actually collaborate with NIMA and NIPRID because ours is regulatory. However, I'm big on research collaboration, the research that will now drive our regulatory process. For example, let's talk of food. Mold, fungi in food can cause all sorts of ailments. So we work very closely with Minna, University of Technology in Minna. In fact, 5 of our own staff are there doing masters or PhD.
Wow.
Because we want their research to now drive our own regulation. That, okay, it is this particular natural product that has the most mold, or doesn't have mold or whatever. That will help us in terms of our own investigation, enforcement, and post-marketing surveillance.
We could go on and on with this conversation.
We just took the advantage of having you here today to just take you everywhere we wanted. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Director General, NAFDAC, which is the National Agency for Food and Drug Administration and Control. Thank you very much for being with us.
So good to be here, always.
And just before we go on a break to take the home stretch, this mail came in after the segment on subsidy, and Mr. G or Mrs. G, just signed G, says, it is this same subsidy regime that's the bane of the power sector. Privatization was predicated upon the subsidy being progressively removed until right pricing is achieved through market forces. Instead, the subsidy regime has been kept, making it impossible to attract investments to the sector. Between COVID and collapsed oil prices, they quickly rushed tariff increases, doubled them in fact, and this has met the consumer resistance. This has meant consumer resistance because there is no commensurate service to go with it. If a product costs 50 naira and the regulator sells it for 30, there's bound to be a problem. You can't expect the private investors to carry this burden. Government that should do this is doing so inefficiently that the desired benefit is not getting to the consumer.
Uh-oh. Again, government,
so we're suffering.
You got your work cut out for you. You signed for it.
It's all government today.
All right, so the home stretch is next after now. Stay with us. I really wish that picture didn't come up earlier, so I would have left you guessing which of all the actors and actresses you've seen in those clips is the artist of the week. But of course, at least there's one clue that she let out earlier, if you missed the beginning.
She's a she.
She's a she, not a shim.
She's a she.
Well, our guest this morning is Adunia Ade.
How are you, sir?
Me to please you. Sorry. Pleased to meet you.
Thank you.
What? Just greeting.
Nothing.
Well, as you can see, she's an actress, producer, and fashion
No, you
model.
can't see that she's an actress. You can see her.
Okay, let me say that. Come here. As you can see in those clips you've seen.
Thank you.
For those who don't understand English, thanks for joining us this morning.
Thank you so much for having me.
So the movie is titled Sole,
Sole.
and it's in English.
It is an English movie.
No, you need to translate Sole. What does Sole mean?
Sole means one chance. You know, some would say it means drop it.
Drop
down.
it.
Yes. But in Lagos, Sole means one chance. When you hear Sole, you have to take your shoes
Okay.
and run.
For those who don't understand, who don't know where that came from, if you do not take a bus from the official bus stop, you're entering Sole.
One chance.
One chance.
One chance bus.
Yeah.
Ah, okay.
So if you've been entering Sole, I've been entering one chance.
Okay.
And you know that one chance in Lagos means something else altogether. But tell us, what led to it? What inspired it? Why do you think it was necessary to put it in the movie?
Well, first of all, what inspired me to produce my movie? So this is my first production, executive producer and producer of Sole. I wasn't getting enough roles in the English aspect of Nollywood, and I wasn't liking that. Yes, I wasn't. Yes, I wasn't liking that. I wanted something different. I wanted to create something that someone like me or someone who looks like me can be in or can partake in, and also, you know, an avenue to also give other people chance, you know, to showcase their talent. And in doing so, I wanted to create something special, something different from the normal drama type movies we watch, you know, from Nollywood. So I decided to create an action thriller, you know, infused with a little bit of comedy, and Sole was birthed.
Okay, so why Sole? Why not the title now,
yes,
the concept?
The concept. I love being very relatable with people. So I chose to tackle an issue that we're currently facing in the country, and that's security. There's lack of security in the country, especially on the highways when you're traveling from one state to another. When you hear Sole, you hear of one chance. A lot of these buses, the passengers end up getting kidnapped, robbed, you know, held at ransom, and it also teaches us, you know, never judge a book by its cover, because you don't know who is sitting next to you on the bus. You don't know if they have good intentions, if they have bad intentions. So I just cooked up all these stories that we've heard from different people and just made it into a movie.
Yeah, I'm looking at your T-shirt.
Yes,
and I'm looking at the photo on it. Well, it's called a bus in my country. That's a bus there, and there's a lot of people.
Yes,
and
I'm seeing the cast.
And I'm seeing Oyinbo faces there.
Not
or is it my eyes?
It's your eyes. Oh. So I can. These are the cast. So I have Shola Shobowale on there. Mom Shola Shobowale is part of the cast.
Okay.
Myself, maybe that's the Oyinbo you see in there. There's Latifade Dumeji, Kelechi Udebe, Femi Jacobs, Megatowa, Sean Fakwa. So we have an ensemble of cast in this movie, but you know, the oldies, the newbies, you know, just a whole bunch of talents in general.
So you decided to expose us in our country.
Not really exposed.
Wait,
not
I'm
really
coming somewhere.
exposed.
We know the way we are on a bus.
Yeah.
Okay. Why are you laughing? So you decided to expose us.
Not really.
The way, I mean, just looking at the trailer alone, I can just imagine the cacophony on that bus. But you've told us what the message is.
Yes.
And people have this experience on a daily basis. Now, what are some of the things that, you know, people should look out for when they go watch this movie? I don't want you to tell us all of the story, but what are the things that you would want people to look out for, and what are the takeaways that they should look out for?
First of all, be open-minded. and don't feel like you know what's going to happen next because you get
'Cause you don't.
disappointed. No, you don't. The twist, the plot, it's crazy. It's out of this. You could never guess what's happening next. That's what Sole is. It drifts from one situation to another and to another. But at the end of the day, you would understand. I can't really, you're saying don't give much. I cannot even really give much because once I do, I've ruined the movie. So you just have to go to the cinemas with an open mind, just sit there, your popcorn, your drink, and enjoy the movie.
Not Bolly. Because I mean,
we don't
can
sell
take your,
Bolly
you can
there.
take your cocoa with you. Now, Adoni, you are an actress,
Yes,
a
ma'am.
model,
Yes, ma'am.
and a single mother of 2.
I don't really like categorizing myself as a single mother. I'm just a mother.
A mother. Okay.
There you go.
So how do you juggle all this?
How do
because
we-
being an actress
Yeah.
is a big job.
Yes, it is.
You're learning lines and all that, and you still have children to look after, and you still have a modeling career to also deal with. How
Yes.
do you juggle all that?
You just do it. Once you're a parent, you have to work. You know, let's put the sentiments aside of being a single mother, quote unquote. We parents have to work. We have to provide. So how do other parents do it? You just get up and you do it because it's what you have to do.
Okay.
I don't pay attention to, you know, the bad aspect of it, you know, when it's just one parent
okay.
doing the job of 2 parents. Just get it done.
That's normal these days, isn't it?
Yeah, just
More
get
or
it
less,
done.
yes. Yes.
It seems that we're going to have to do a little something different this morning. So we have just about a minute or 2 for this segment. But in terms of, let's talk about the industry that you're in. You told us the challenge that necessitated you spinning in a new direction. Is that a situation peculiar to you, or it's something that happens in the industry? Either way you put the question, how would you suggest that kind of thing be addressed so the industry can develop?
You just have to make a change. Someone has to do it. If you want to create something, make sure you're doing something of quality. Make sure you're doing it the right way. I have put everything on the line. This did not just happen overnight. Wanting to produce my own movie has taken me a very long time. I started as a model almost 20 years ago, as an actor over a decade ago. So I didn't just start overnight, and I have learned, I have grown, I have taken the good and the bad, and I decided that I wanted to do this, and I went for it.
So what do we expect from you next?
Let's work on Sole first. Now, after Sole, greater things to come. I take it one step at a time.
After Sole is lockdown. After lockdown, one chance. After one chance. I don't know. We could go on and on. But we have to thank you very much for being a part of this program this morning, since we're going to have 2 home stretches today. Adriana Day, thank you. So the movie you say is
it's
where?
in cinemas nationwide. Any cinema in your city, your town, wherever you are in Nigeria, it is showing.
Okay. Another time you come here, you're going to tell us why it has to be a trip to Enugu and not Kano. But thank you very much for now. Thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you.
All right, let's take a short break and bring on our next home stretch guests.
From the Lord, they know they see her for market. A good woman is a blessing from above. Her type will not there for market. I tell you more, Yaku. One year batrako Lisa Silva. Yanu more, does Yaku. One year batrako does Yakumo. Always loving everybody, no discrimination. What a dimma, no competition. Come and see the blessings of the Lord. If you want Yamaka, blessings in Akachukubia. If you want Yamaka, only yes in Akachukubia. A good woman will come from the Lord.
Thank you for staying with us. Well, like my partner said, this is the second home stretch, and we're going to be celebrating twins. All over the world, twins attract a special kind of interest, and sometimes you know why, because when they are identical, they even present more of a problem. In Nigeria, there's a population of about 27.7 million twins. That's a large number. Well, they have a celebration which they want to come and talk to us about this morning. We have Taiwo and Kendi Oluwafunsho.
Yeah.
Who's Taiwo and who is Kendi?
Yes, I'm Taiwo. I'm Kendi.
You are the Egbo.
Yes.
And you are the Aburo.
So if they swap places, how would you know the difference?
Exactly. You can't tell the difference. And I remember many, many years ago when they came on the program, they told me that they also married twin sisters. Identical sisters?
Yes.
Do you sometimes swap wives?
No. God forbid.
How can you tell who is who?
Yes, we've done that. We've taken time to study our wives very well. At times, early in the relationship, there are instances of mistaking. Identity. But now we're able to overcome that.
You mistook this one, you missed that.
No, not in that area,
Okay. I don't know what area you're talking about. I don't know what area you're talking about.
There is a Lagos State International Twins Day Festival, ECO 2021. And this is what you're here to tell us about. So, what is happening on the Twins in International Twins Day?
Yes, for some years now we have been staging the Twins Day Festival. The reason is simple. Nigeria has the largest numbers of twins in the whole world. So there's a need to celebrate twins. And we always set a day aside to celebrate the beauty, the uniqueness of twins. And we try as much as possible to use twins as cultural ambassadors. When you look at twins are unique, twins are special. But we say that let's tap on the uniqueness and the beauties of twins. Let's tap on the potentials that God has given twins. Naturally, we have the potentials.
What kind
so
of
we
potential?
use twins.
What kind
now,
of potential?
If we get somewhere now, you are with us. If we get somewhere, my brother will get the attention before you get any attention.
As well as I am.
Yes.
True.
Because
that's true.
Yes. It has happened so many times. We've gone for something. People, we are at the back. Say, oh, please, let me have those two men looking. Please come over. And people out there will be grumbling. So, you'll have come in twins.
So, by the way, Kende, do you go shopping together?
Yes, we do that because the way we were raised, we've always wear the same clothes, attires. It's a way of life.
No, wait.
So it has.
You are both now married, and you both live in different houses, I assume, or you live in the same house?
We are living in the same house by God's grace.
Oh, Jesus.
Oh, wait a minute, slow down. In the same apartment, or just, that's your apartment?
That's your flat.
Place. We stay in the same apartment, but the different wing. 2 wings. Different wings. Yeah.
So when you were coming out this morning, did you call each other and say, this is what we're going to wear?
It's a way of life. It's so easy to pick what we want to wear. When we were...
Did you both agree what you were going to wear? You just came out and you were wearing the same thing?
Last night, I choose most of our clothes because I know what suits us best. So I choose our clothes without no disagreement. I can tell you that this was going. Although it was saying that we should wear another tie, but I told you that there's a line of blue hair that goes with the blue shirt. He wanted us to wear black shoes. He had already wore the black shoe. I told him that why not wearing the blue shoes since we are going to wear the blue. So these are the uniqueness of things. We are celebrating.
I'm tired of this.
On the 5th of December.
Okay. You have you've done this Twins Day Festival for how long?
We staged the first one in 1998.
Slow down. That's
and that was the first one in the whole of the Black Africa. In Africa, that was the first Twins Day Festival in Africa. The one we did last was in 2019. We did it with
for COVID.
Hungarian embassy. We did it at their trade center at Ikoyi, where twins came. So we
How many
celebrated.
twins came in 2000?
We had
about 200 sets.
We had over
200 sets.
150, close to 200 sets of twins.
How many are you expecting this year?
We're talking about 300, let's say about 200 sets. 200 sets this year. They are coming from
All over Nigeria.
all over Nigeria and outside Nigeria. We are celebrating
Even
twins.
outside Nigeria.
Yes, they are coming from Ghana, South Africa, and where again? Sierra Leone.
From Sierra Leone.
They are coming from all over Lagos, across Nigeria. We are celebrating the beauty, uniqueness of twins through music, tourism, culture and arts.
You say you are tourism ambassadors. Maybe we'll not be able to talk about that tourism ambassador part, you know. Wait a minute, why don't we talk about that anyway?
Okay, good.
You know that, I mean, generally, we know where the issues of twins came from. All of the Mary Slessor years and all those things.
How they were killed.
And how they were seen as outcasts. And up until now, do you think people still have those fears, or they have the fears of, okay, maintaining one child is bad enough, is tough enough. Maintaining two at a time?
Yes, I think up to now, as we are speaking, there are still some abuse, you know. Twins still go through a lot of tough time because of the economic situation of the country. Men, when they hear that their wives have given birth to twins, they take to their heels.
Do you blame them?
Yes. There are a lot of times. Yes,
I don't blame them.
Yes, many in-laws accuse the wives for adding to the economic burden of their son. So that why not giving birth to one child, why bringing 2, 3, 4? Now, this was economic
She
situation
didn't
of the
have
country.
anything to do with it, I promise you.
No. Yes, and the man, yes, and the man actually bring for the twins. You know, when you have a set of twins, the man hormones contribute almost 30% of what brings forth a twin. So up to today, people still see twins as problem. They still see them as burden. So this is what we want to correct. We want to correct certain misinformation and misconception people have about twins. So this is what we have to do. The festival is to let people know that twins are normal. Don't idolize them. When you have them, don't take them to the street as base for street begging. And we want to use this, you know, in a very unique, you know, way to celebrate twins through music, performances, poetry, Oriki Beji. That's what we are going to do on the 5th of December. And another thing is that Nigeria has the largest numbers of twins in the world, concentration of twins in the world. Nigeria has become the most greatest, largest nation producing, manufacturing twins.
Wait a minute, slow down.
If we have twins in large numbers and quantities, why not use twins as ambassadors, tourism ambassadors, cultural ambassadors? If we have twins, and that's what we are attracting the whole world to come to Lagos State. The beam satellite of the media, international media, is going to be on Lagos State on that day. Twins are going to
5th of December at Freedom Park.
Yes, Freedom Park.
International Festival
Twins
of
Day. So
Twins.
Lagos is going to host us. People are coming to Lagos to come and see twins. So
Essentially, you are saying that the whole world should come to the headquarters of twins.
Yes, exactly. Exactly.
25.7 million twins.
Yeah. Enough.
That's more than
enough
50
to make
million.
a nation.
Yes, enough to make a nation.
Yes, enough to make a nation. So
why don't you guys just go colonize some...
Find some island somewhere and just make sure that it's just you twins. Anyway, Taiwo and Kehinde Oluwafunsho, thank you very much for coming to tell us about December 5th, which is happening at
Freedom Park.
Freedom Park, and I suppose everybody's invited to come and see what,
we're inviting
you all are
twins,
offering.
we're inviting friends of twins, parents of twins. I mean, people that want to have twins, let them come over. We'll release blessings on them.
Great, great. And the twins round up our show for today. That's Sunrise for today. We bring you a fresh edition next week. I'm Alera Edu, wishing you a happy weekend, and a blessed week. See you next month.
I'm Ayo Makinde. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Bye for now.